Good morning, Ms. Chakravorty.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for inviting to the school and taking out your time for this interview.
It's a pleasure and privilege. Thank you.
Most welcome, ma'am. So, because now is the time when a lot of students are looking at their career, what to do after their school, high school, and I'm sure because you interact with students. So, as for you, what are the new age skill sets which students should really focus on, and they should prepare themselves to get into their career or their dream college?
So, I think. What I have to say is as old as the mountains. Nothing has changed. Only it has got layers that has been added over the years because of the way education has evolved. But the really important and rudimentary skill sets remain the same.
Right.
Beginning with, if I use the lingo that's used today, EQ and or your emotional intelligence. I think it begins with that, followed by your SQ, your social quotient, your spiritual quotient, if at all. People want to focus on that.
Right.
But what we need to tell children is the 21st century skills which were there earlier also, and that's why till today a person like Kautilya is remembered, or Chanakya as he's known more popularly, because of his communication skills, because of his critical thinking, because of his creativity, and because he would collaborate so well. So I think nothing has changed. It's just that we have used a different kind of nomenclature to explain it. And I think Chanakya is a beautiful example from days gone by to explain what actually has evolved into the 21st century skills. The children need to be equipped with that to ensure that they are problem solving, decision making, taking responsibilities and not passing it on to somebody else. And also collaborating, that is team management is good. And critical thinking is required for all of this. But at the top of the Bloom's taxonomy, as we say in education, is creativity. And that's why the startups today are so very important. And schools need to focus on the curriculum, which will integrate all of this. And because, and I'll end with this statement for this particular question, that the objective of education is to prepare the children for the real world.
Right. That's so. I mean, you have put across all the skills which are needed, and what I feel that in today's time, I mean, everybody, if they go on the right track, I think they will be more independent and will be able to do things by themselves more. This is one change which even I felt that after speaking to so many students that gone were the days where it's only the parents who were involved. Now I think students are also involved, and it's a mutual discussion in the kind of skills which is required.
And we have a word for it in education. It's called pedagogy.
Right.
So that's self-directed learning. And I think that's what one should work upon, for the students.
Right, rightly said. So my second question to you would be that do you feel that because of the pandemic, there are any new age careers which have come into the place, or we still focus on the traditional careers which were medical, engineering and business management programs?
I think this is a question which is oft asked, and I think the times speak for themselves, because the pandemic happened in 1990. And if you look at the pandemic in 1919 and you look at the pandemic in 2020, the biggest change is virtual change.
Right.
So I think anything concerned with that, we didn't know what were Padlets. Today we have Padlets, and we finish an assembly and we ask parents to put their comments on Padlets, instead of one board which used to be put outside the class. And I could go on and on, and so I think these are major changes that have come around in educational technology mostly. And that is what is the 1919 to 2020 change, I would say, the educational technology.
Right. And I think, this would also help students to do well at the corporate life. Earlier, all this technology was mostly used at the corporate level, not at the school level. Now we can even expect a nursery kid to log in and to attend a class without any delay, and parents to add comments.
And if I may intervene here,
Yes, please.
We have today something which I feel is very close to my heart. I used to often quote these lines of Wordsworth earlier, saying that the child is the father of man. Today, the child of nursery is helping his teacher, being the Gen Z, Gen X, I don't know which Gen. I mean, there's going to be a huge, forget the millennials, it's got, done and dusted. But the generation which is coming in nursery, they can tell the teacher, ma'am, you do this, and you will get it this way, this is what you're aiming for, and you'll get it this way. Right. So I think that has been a huge evolution in education, where there's a symbiotic existence where the teacher, of course, is sharing her experience, but the child is sharing his or her experience too. Right. So I think that's a huge learning.
Yes. And I think it will actually take India and other countries even way ahead, which nobody even thought about it.
Absolutely.
Right. So my last question to you would be that, we have always seen that marks should be the benchmark to get into a top college. So, but with pandemic and with so many schools coming up with a letter of recommendations, and students getting involved themselves in extracurricular activities. So do you feel that colleges should also implement that as part of their admission process, or marks should be the only criteria? Because at UBS, we follow a holistic approach, wherein we not only just look at marks, but we also look at students' extracurricular activities, take parents' feedback, what parents are looking at, and then we ask students to file an application. So what is your say in that?
I'm absolutely with it. And if I can just quote how my son got into a college, and first in a college in India, it was one of the rarest of rare colleges, St. Stephen's College, which would ask you what you did in activities, what you did in sports, what you did in your studies, etc. And then he went on to Cambridge. Okay. And the same thing applied there, because I was there with him when he was being interviewed by Cambridge University. And they asked him the same things. And he talked about how he played tabla and he represented college in which sports, etc. And I'm glad that what these colleges thought of, or at least 10 years back or 15 years back, is what the world out and out is thinking about across the tertiary education. It's not confined to just a few colleges, and it is now everywhere. And I'm glad a college like yours, a business school like yours, is thinking of this, or is implementing, rather, not only thinking, but they are implementing. And this is what it's all about. I have never been the best of student in studies, And I was a sports person. I played hockey at the national level, and I was an actor and a debater, and etc., etc. So I think a person like me, if you ask, I would say absolutely kudos, because everybody realizes there are multiple intelligences. Right. So I think fantastic, and congratulations to your college also.
Thank you so much. So any message you would like to give to the students at this point of time?
I would just want to tell the students that my mantra always is to be able and noble. But for me, personally, nobility comes first. Be a good human being. Rest of it will follow.
Thank you so much for your valuable feedback and the suggestions which you have given for the students. I'm sure the students who will look this video, they will definitely work on the skill sets which you mentioned, and will take your message to their heart and will give back to the society.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.